Hi dog lovers, thank you so much for joining Gina's Grooming. Today we're going to be talking about a very basic piece of grooming equipment, but it's very crucial, and this is the grooming table. For anyone who is an amateur groomer or attempting to do grooming at home, it is definitely recommended that you consider either buying or creating some kind of a tabletop, an elevated workspace to work with your dog for grooming tasks. Now, if you have a dog that's arthritic, has a bad back, something like that, or is very heavy and has some problems, you might not want to elevate them on a surface. Of course, as groomers, we go ahead and figure out ways how to groom those special needs dogs on the floor, somewhere where they can't jump off, obviously, and hurt themselves. So a note of consideration. But for anyone who has a healthy dog and they do want to attempt doing grooming things at home, it is definitely recommended to create an elevated workspace with a grooming arm and a grooming loop to keep your pet secure. This serves two main purposes. The first one is it trains your dog that when they're on the table and they're secured safely with the grooming loop, that now it is grooming time. So they're not going to be distracted by their normal day-to-day play times, things like that. They know that this is grooming time. And we have now psychologically communicated with them that our expectation when they're on the table is for them to behave with us so that we can go ahead and give them the grooming that they so badly need. Now, the other consideration of getting a table as well is also incredibly important, and that is for you, for your health. So when you're working on an elevated surface and you have your pet on an elevated surface, this now saves you from bending your back, from leaning over too much with the dog, spending a lot of time trying to get your dog's angles in a place where it's not very easy to get to. So by getting your pet on an elevated workspace on a grooming table, you're actually taking frustration away from yourself, making it easier for yourself, and not only taking care of yourself, you're also saving the dog from feeling your frustration. If you get irritated, if your back starts hurting, that's going to rub off on the dog, which is going to make the whole entire process much more difficult, not only for you, but also for your pet. So let's go ahead and talk about the different types of grooming tables that are available, and then we're going to finish with options that you can do at home if you can't afford a grooming table and you want to do a DIY project. So if you've chosen the route to go ahead and purchase a professional grooming table to be able to do your grooming tasks at home, there's a few options available to you. And of course, different sizes, different shapes. I've even seen round ones that are kind of like Lazy Susans. Lots of different things available to you. So definitely make sure that you look at the size of the table that you're purchasing and then make sure that it fits your dog. You also want to look at the weight rating. This is very good that when you buy a table, it'll actually tell you what the rating is in pounds so that you can handle whatever dog that you're doing. So just a note, if you're building your own home grooming table, which we're going to talk about in the next section, just make sure that the table that you're using is very stable and consider the weight of your pet. So if you have a Newfoundland, you might want to make sure that you buy a professional table that is rated for that weight of that huge type of dog. Now, the other aspect of professional tables are that you can get them in one height, which is static height, or you can get them in an adjustable height. So what I have here is a hydraulic table, and what a hydraulic table is, it's a foot pump, and as you go ahead and you pump the foot pump, the table raises or lowers, depending on how you're controlling it with your foot pump. This is great. This serves a lot of purposes, and all the different tables out there do go up and down to different varying heights, so be aware of that too. If you definitely need the table to go down very low for maybe an older pet, that's okay to be on a table, then you want to go ahead and make sure that you see the ultimate lowness, the height, how low it can go before you purchase it. Another option, obviously more expensive, for a table that goes up and down, if hydraulic may be a little too tough for you, or maybe you're working with a huge dog. That pump actually does get tough if you're pumping up 200, 250 pounds. So there are electric tables available, but again, remember that these are going to be really expensive. You kind of get what you pay for, but what happens is you have two little foot pumps, little foot pedals that you can go ahead and adjust the height of the table very, very easily. Just plug it in, put your foot on the foot pump, and there you go. Just remember that when you're purchasing or setting up your table, make sure that you also budget for buying a grooming arm and a grooming loop, because this is all part of it. If you just have the raised workspace for your dog, but you don't secure them properly, it's not going to work as well as it should. You definitely need to have these items as well. Definitely look for our video on grooming loops and grooming arms. That's going to talk about the proper usage and what height and how you should be able to go ahead and use this grooming loop safely so that your dog stays safe. Now, the last and most important thing about a professional grooming table that you're going to get when you purchase it, and make sure that it is, make sure about the tabletop. Most grooming tabletops are rubberized. Why is this important? It not only gives stability to your dog, that they're not going to slip, it also protects their joints. So I have seen dogs on slippery surfaces be able to slip, right, and splay their joints and actually hurt themselves. So because we're actually doing grooming things, we're keeping them on the table for some prolonged periods of time, having a rubberized surface not only makes it more comfortable for them, it also helps their joints and helps protect them. Okay, so if you can't afford a professional grooming table, which is okay, we're gonna go ahead and actually discuss a DIY project that you can do to make a safe environment and a raised workspace for your dog so you can go ahead and attempt grooming at home. Okay, so let's say you cannot afford a professional grooming table. Now, as a disclaimer, I definitely want to urge you to save your pennies and get a professional grooming table for safety. It's rated, it's under warranty, definitely better for you. But we really wanted to give a solution to those folks who've been asking about how do I set up a grooming table at home safely from the perspective of a professional groomer. So this is kind of what we came up with. Again, disclaimer, use your judgment. This includes a lot of common sense. So for instance, we went ahead, we bought a table, a utility table. You'll see a lot of these people use them for trade shows. They'll use them to bring to the beach. Anything like that is foldable and has little handles, things like that. So really nice if you need to store it in your garage so you can take it in and out between, your grooming sessions. Anyway, so we've taken a regular table, okay, and put it out. Now, in terms of when I said common sense, we want to make sure that the table is stable for the weight of your pet. Again, get a professional grooming table that's rated properly for the weight of your pet. But in this fun kind of like thing that we're going to do, I test the weight of the table. I'm about $125, so I wouldn't put on this table anything probably over 40 or 50 pounds. Again, it held my weight, but I definitely felt a little bit of give. So just be really aware of that. If you're doing a grooming table from a table at home, definitely do it for the small ones. I would not recommend it for any dogs probably over 40 or 50 pounds. Okay, so now that we've got the table, here's the trick. We now can do a rubberized surface, and this is what I would recommend with, let's say, an old yoga mat that you have in your closet, you haven't been using it, and what you can do is go ahead and rubberize any surface. So without the yoga mat, this is too slippery for a dog to stand on. Their feet are gonna splay, they might slip. This is very unsafe. But by rolling out a yoga mat, okay, and what's great about this table is it's pretty much exactly the same width as the yoga mat, so the dog isn't gonna have false security. So you wanna make sure that you cut the mat to the size of the table so that the dog doesn't step on a part of the mat and slip off, right? Because there's no stability underneath. Luckily, this width of this table is handling this yoga mat really well. Now, if it's not an old yoga mat, you can just fold it over, make it nice for your dog. But now we've got like a flippy yoga mat on the table. This is not good enough. We have one more step to do. So what we're doing is we're attaching the clamp of the grooming arm onto the yoga mat / homemade table combination. Okay, now what this does is it keeps the grooming mat pretty well secured. Now, if a dog is really rambunctious, they can slip this, so definitely recommend clamping the edges in the back where it's safe so your dog isn't gonna step on the clamps or something like that. And if you clamp on this side, you clamp on this side, and then you have your main clamp with the grooming arm, you now have a homemade table set up pretty cheaply, right? That has the safe grooming arm, the safe grooming loop, rubberized surface, so the dogs are not only gonna be more comfortable, they're also not gonna slip, and then it's a better experience for you and the dog. Okay folks, so whether or not you're planning to purchase a professional grooming table or you're saving your pennies for one and you're gonna make one at home safely using a lot of common sense, but with a lot of the tricks and tips that we explained to you today. The most important thing is that you're doing this for your dog, and your dog is going to appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to go ahead and learn about grooming. Make sure you like this video, subscribe. Again, there's another video about grooming loops and a whole other stuff that we're going to be releasing. So really welcome you guys to subscribe to our channel so we can bring more videos like this to you. And wishing you guys a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.